Now, I am very much a delve enjoyer. It was probably the one thing that I was most excited about when making the decision to come back to retail. In fact, when I'm streaming over on kick.com/Scottejaye, shameless plug, towards the end of the night, it's normally where I end up spending my time. Now, last night, I noticed a drastic difference when doing Zekvir on the question mark difficulty from one pool to the next. And that was because Blizzard actually put out some hot fixes for delves, but there's some things on there that are just not mentioned. Now, I've done a lot of delves. In fact, I'd probably say it's the thing that I enjoy doing the most, so my excitement around delves definitely wasn't a disappointment. But there was two things I wasn't a fan of, and Blizzard have changed both of those, but along the way somewhere they've also stealth nerfed Bran. So firstly, the fact that you could get resurrected and it didn't count towards the death counter, and secondly, the fact that it almost made them pointless to do solo when they were so much easier as a group, which has also been addressed. Now, what they done late last night was they fixed a bug causing bosses to scale incorrectly with more players. Now, it was quite a common thing to see, bosses having more health in a single-player delve than when there was 3 or 4 of you. They also increased the health scaling of enemies in delves while grouped with other players. So now when you're grouped with other players, they should have significantly more health, which is kind of what you expect. They reduced the damage scaling of many enemy abilities in delves while grouped with other players, and they also adjusted enemy targeting preferences in delves. Now, this is an interesting one, because their goal is to match the difficulty of solo and group play as much as possible. So when they was looking at data on group delves, they noticed unexpectedly low combat times coupled with unexpectedly high lethality. Now, the fix will increase the health scaling of enemies per additional player present, but they're also reducing the damage scaling of many abilities to compensate. Now, before we go any further on the changes that they've done, let me just tell you something that I've witnessed personally and which will be very evident in this video. I was online and doing Zekvir when these hot fixes went in place. And a key thing to notice is you can see it's the question mark difficulty. You can also see that Zekvir is taking quite a lot of damage. He's dying relatively fast. I'm pushing into that second phase quite quickly. Whilst it's a big challenge, don't get me wrong, because there's a lot of mechanics going on, it wasn't too bad. Now, the thing I need to draw your attention to is actually details. You can see I'm holding around 1.2 million damage, and I'm actually pooling energy a lot, waiting for the webs, so I've got all of my big hard-hitting abilities ready for as soon as a web spawns, because I don't want an ad to spawn. If you don't kill the web in time, an ad spawns, that ad needs interrupting, but also the boss needs interrupting. It just makes life very difficult, so you want to get those webs down. Now, the thing is, the vast majority of that damage that you can see on details isn't actually me. It's actually Bran. And then what I quickly noticed, or very frustratingly quickly noticed, is I thought my ability to play the game had diminished massively because all of a sudden I couldn't get the boss past about 90%. Not only this, Bran no longer could hold aggro on the boss, and the boss is hitting me for sometimes 70 to 80% of my health. But the one big thing you'll notice here is if you look at details again, no longer am I doing 1.2 million DPS, I'm doing about 500k. Now, my damage hasn't changed. I do the same thing every time, and ordinarily trying to let Bran get aggro, because that's just the easiest way to do it. Do very light damage at the start, Bran will get aggro, he'll hold it pretty much for the entire fight. After the hotfix, however, Bran's damage is significantly lower. So I thought maybe it's just in Zekvir's lair. They're trying to make it harder, so he's got some sort of stealth nerf to the amount of damage he's doing in here specifically, because it's the hardest challenge of the delves, or it should be. So I had a look back at the night before where I done Fungal Folly on tier 11, which I only scraped by with 1 life remaining. But again, I let Bran do all the heavy lifting. You'll see I'm pretty much just stood line of sight and just letting Bran do all the work. And again, you'll see nearly 1 million DPS, and that's without me even touching the boss. Fast forward to today, where I'm actually doing a tier 8, because I just wanted to get in and quickly test it. This time, I am actually hitting the boss. I'm actively pumping the boss during every opportunity, and after the boss does a spinny around whirly thing, he takes 50% extra damage as well, and I'm going all out on the boss, not just kiting and letting Bran deal with it. And you can see I'm doing less than 500k DPS, and that's because Bran was holding around 900k to 1 million DPS, just on his own. So along the way here, Bran looks like he's been significantly nerfed. Now, I've not changed anything, as in my Bran level is 27, so I've not like been power leveling Bran or anything like that, using ults to do bountiful delves. I've only been doing the delves on the monk, and I've been doing a decent amount of them, even non-bountiful delves. So overnight, Bran's gone from hitting like a boss and tanking like an absolute truck to just being pretty I wanted to get that out of the way because we're not going to hear anything about this in the hotfixes. So Zekvir's influence has grown stronger as well, introducing a new enemy variant in Delve Tier 8. Now, again, I went and done a Tier 8 this morning. I've not seen that yet, so we'll have to wait and see what that is. They fixed an issue where the health bar UI could fail to display values correctly in Zekvir's lair while in a group. Again, I really do these delves to play solo. Whilst, yes, I've done lots of bountiful delves with the boys on Discord having a laugh, but really, for me, Delves is a solo piece of content, and that's how I enjoy to do it, so I haven't even done Zekvir in a group. And they've changed the revives remaining, which I mentioned at the start, where now anytime a player dies, the count's reduced instead of when you release, which obviously is the way that it should be, because now even in a group, it makes losing lives a lot more, well, impactful. So something else that wasn't on these hotfixes, according to Wowhead, is a solo delvers has a 20% spell damage reduction as well. So things like Web Bolt and Burn Away are just doing significantly less damage, which obviously is good, but if you're doing Zekvir's Lair on question mark difficulty, can I just call it tier 2? If you let one of them ads out and it does a web bolt, you're probably still going to get one shot because it was doing about 7 million anyway. Now, personally, having done a tier 8 delve this morning and now waiting to do the 4 bountifuls when it resets in an hour, I can honestly say it actually feels significantly easier. The tier 8 delve I done was, well, it felt completely face roll, actually, solo. Whereas before, it did feel like a bit of a challenge, but I'm seeing the complete opposite all over Reddit this morning, where people are saying they're just walking in and getting one shot. Now, I haven't actually gone in as a group because, as I said before, it's not really the way that I enjoy doing delves, but from what I'm reading, it sounds pretty crazy. I'm reading about full eye level 600 plus players and mobs having 120 million health and one-shotting them, and they just can't complete it. A lot of people are completely failing tier 8 delves this morning in groups, so the scaling is just off, and expect more changes to come today. So don't take this video as, oh, this is actually all that's going to happen, because I can more or less put money on it that by the end of play tonight, there will be more changes coming. But a lot of people are seeing the same thing with Zekvir, and I don't know if they're coming to the same conclusion, but it's less the boss and more Bran, 100%. He just cannot hold aggro. He cannot do as much damage as he was doing before. And I would say how hard Zekvir is hitting, for some classes, probably my own included, it's going to be pretty much impossible to kill him. Even if I get full Biss this phase, I do not see him being possible to kill, because when he's hitting for 70 to 80% of my health in one swing, and Bran's not really helping a lot, it's just not going to happen. So Blizzard, please fix my delves. And to all of you, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.